no need to fight tonight.
The 2021-2022 season previews continue today with the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, before we get into the preview, I want to give a special shout-out to a couple friends here. Shout-out to my friend Matt, who is North Carolina. Shout-out to my friend Caniac Matt, who is also North Carolina. Two Matts that are Canes fans. Weird. And shout-out to my friend, quote-unquote friend, Caniac Matt's dad. And he's been saying that I have bad takes. And I would like to say to that, I have the best takes in the world, and what I say in this video is correct, and you are wrong. Just kidding. Thank you for the support. But anyways, the Hurricanes had quite an interesting offseason, trading away a lot of their guys and signing a lot of new guys, bringing in this new mentality that they want to win now, which honestly we'll get into in depth with this video, but I don't really get why they got rid of everyone. But first off, if you're new to the channel and have not already subscribed, I really would appreciate it if you did so. We are 28 subscribers away from 1,000. I really would appreciate it. The grind's been unreal lately, but anyways, I won't waste any more time. Let's get into the preview. So let's look back at last season for the Carolina Hurricanes where, compared to last year, they took a massive step up. They went 36, 12, and 8 for 80 points, and they finished third overall in the NHL, first overall in the Central Division, and they won by a little bit too. Florida was kind of a little bit competitive up in there, but Carolina ended up edging out the division win. So, of course, they were the first seed, and they faced the fourth seed Nashville Predators, where they beat them in 6 games. It was it was actually more competitive than people would see it if you weren't watching the games. Like, it was 2-0 Carolina, 2-2, then it was 4-2 Carolina Dubs. So, it was pretty competitive, but then Carolina moved on to face the Tampa Bay Lightning, where they lost in 5 games. Now, that series had a lot of factors that played into it. Nadelkovic didn't look the same. The goaltending was a bit shaky. And, that probably could have been the reason why they moved out all 3 of their goalies this offseason. But, you can honestly think that what you will. So yet again, they lose, and they just can't really make a run in the playoffs. The furthest they made it was the conference finals against Boston 2019. They lost in the first round against Boston this year, and now they lose against Tampa. So what direction do they put this team in? And I don't like the direction that they chose to do. So moving on here into your key departures for your Carolina Hurricanes, starting off here with Dougie Hamilton. You could argue that's the biggest loss on this whole list. Hamilton was that one best defenseman for the Hurricanes, and now he's up to the Devils. Now he's gone. He's gone, and that really sucks because, it's the weird part. Like, they signed KK to that offer sheet for 6.1, but they can't offer him that money. Like, I can't understand. I know Hamilton wanted like $9 million, but like they had the cap space to do so. And then this one was really confusing to me. I have no clue why they just traded him. They lost Alex Nadelkovic in a trade to the Detroit Red Wings, where they got nothing back. That's not true. They didn't get nothing back. They got a third round pick, if I'm not mistaken, which they'll probably deal out at some point because Carolina deals out picks. And the thing is, they brought in Jonathan Bernier. I'm sure if you sign Bernier, that is a great trade. I think that's good. I think Bernier will do very well. But no, he goes off to the Devils as well. So it doesn't make sense to me how they would deal him away. And it go back to the Kotkaniemi thing. They offer him $6.1 million, if I'm not mistaken. And they can't offer Ned $3 million? I'm sorry. I don't care if it wasn't the GM that offer sheeted that. That still doesn't run through the chain of command. That's stupid. Then they also lost James Reimer, to free agency. Obviously, he's off at San Jose now. Reimer, he's all right. He's a solid. They had too many goalies, and I figured they were going to move at least one of them out. And when you look at Mrazek and Nadelkovic, Reimer was probably the one that was going to go. But I didn't expect them to move out all 3 of them. That's the part that surprised me. They lost Brock McGinn to free agency. Of course, he's off with Pittsburgh. Very solid depth gone. Jake Bean as well. They dealt him away. I never understood that. And here's the next part. Morgan Geekie. They also lost to the Seattle Kraken. I never understood why they wanted to trade away Jake Bean and why they lost Morgan Geekie. Because if they wanted to get rid of Geekie, they could have just traded him. They left Fost protected. I can't understand it. And then if you want to get rid of him, leave Jake Bean. I can't even understand it. I don't know why they wanted to get rid of Bean. He's a very solid young defenseman for this young Carolina Hurricanes core who suddenly just got older. They also lost Cedric Paquette. He was a death move, honestly. It was a death show with Ryan Dzingel. He went off to the Montreal Canadiens. I can't imagine he'll play too big of a role there. But he didn't really play a big role in Carolina, so it's not a huge loss. They also lost Yanni Hakanpää, who was a clear rental for the Canes. Of course, he was traded in the Hayden Fleury trade, which Hayden Fleury is obviously on the Ducks now, so there you go. They also lost a depth forward in Sheldon Rempal. You'll obviously be missed in Charlotte, or not Charlotte, Chicago. I forgot that they transferred that. And then they also lost their other goalie, Peter Mrazek. And Mrazek's, of course, off in Toronto now. I already had my discussion with Ned and Reimer. I didn't expect them to get rid of Mrazek. I thought they were going to get rid of Reimer of any people, but they got rid of all three of them. So, this team, I don't know what direction they're going in. They want to try and go into the win now, but honestly, sure, they can win now, but with the core that they had, if they just re-signed those guys, they would have so many more years. Like, they just put the team back. They just put the team, from a 10-year win-now mode advantage to, a 5-year win-now mode advantage. It doesn't process through my head. And then one player I forgot to mention back there was Warren Fogle. Of course, he was traded away in the Edmonton Oilers trade. So some depth lost. That is very important. And overall, it just was not. I just can't process it, honestly. Moving on here into your key arrivals. Now, as I mentioned, they acquired Jesperi Kotkaniemi off of that one offer sheet. Again, he's a solid forward. He's my favorite player on the Montreal Canadiens, or was my favorite player on the Montreal Canadiens. Now I don't even know who it is. But yeah, Kotkaniemi coming over, going to be a very solid forward. Montreal gave him a lot of criticism. I'll say that much, but I think with this Carolina Hurricanes core, Kotkaniemi can play very solid. You also have Josh Leivo there as well, who is injury prone. I won't deny that. They have a lot of guys that they signed that where if they all get injured, they're fine. Leivo is a very solid player if he's healthy, but he hasn't really been that much at all this offseason or this season. So also they acquired Stefan Noesen, very big depth defenseman, not too bad there. They also acquired Derek Stepan, some depth on the center core there. He's not going to play too much because you have a couple guys below there that are going to get chances. But yeah, pretty solid. They also acquired Ethan Bear in the Warren Fogle trade, which was a very solid deal, by the way. It gets overlooked, but I think Ethan Bear can be a solid defenseman on the Hurricanes blue line. They also acquired Yalen Chatfield from the Vancouver Canucks. They also acquired Ian Cole, who, the contract's not good. From, I think, the Avalanche, maybe the Sharks. I'm not too sure where he's at now or where he was before. Tony DeAngelo, that's the biggest controversial one. The man, the myth, the menace, Tony DeAngelo. The thing is with me, with that, I think he can be a solid defenseman, but it's controversial. So we'll see how he does, I guess. They also acquired Brendan Smith, which means the Carolina Rangers at this point because they have so many Rangers players now. Smith, Stepan, Ranta, it's crazy. And then they have Foss as well, then they also acquired Frederik Andersen, that's their one goalie that's coming in there, and Antti Ranta, that's their other goalie that's coming in there. So here's the thing with me. Andersen was injured a lot last season, so coming in with him, I think it is a big risk. He got criticized a lot in Toronto. I've said that a lot of times on the channel. So I think Andersen will be very interesting to see what he does with the Hurricanes and if he can, stay consistent and not get injured. And then, of course, Ranta was a backup for the Arizona Coyotes. It's kind of weird for me to see him in a Canes jersey. It's weird because he's been on the Coyotes my entire fan of the team. So it does get kind of weird for me. I do find it a bit strange. But I think that Ranta could be a solid backup if he's healthy, of course. So that's your key arrivals. They have a lot of injury-prone guys there like Leivo, Stepan, Andersen, and Ranta. But I think if all those guys are healthy, they're very solid players. So that could be interesting. So moving on here into your projected lineup for your Carolina Hurricanes, you have starting off on the top six, Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Marty Necas, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Vincent Trocheck, and Teuvo Teravainen. I like that first line. Svechnikov should start scoring again. He kind of was a playmaker last season. Aho is Aho. He'll probably be better than Barzal. Necas, that young forward, getting his chance on the first line. I think that'll be very solid. As for the second line there, you have Kotkaniemi making his debut. I think he's going to play second line. I've seen people put him third line. I've seen people put him on the first line. I can't imagine he starts first line off the bat at least. But I think, Kotkaniemi can be a very solid forward on this, what's a deep Carolina Hurricanes core. Obviously, they also have Vincent Trocheck, a very solid center there playing on the second line. Gets underrated at points as well. I think he's a very underrated center. Then you have Teuvo Teravainen there as well, who I think is also another very solid, underrated right wing. As for the bottom six there, you have Jordan Marnook, Jordan Staal, Nino Niederreiter, Josh Leivo, Derek Stepan, Jesper Fast, Steve Lawrence, and Seth Jarvis. So here's the interesting thing with me. Jarvis, I'm going to start with him. He's going to make an impact. Absolutely. He is absolutely going to make an impact with this Hurricanes team. It's just a matter of when. Does he make the team out of training camp? Does he maybe come in midseason? Does he come in at the end of the season? You really can't tell. But I think Jarvis is ready for the NHL no matter what. He's definitely going to play this season. But anyways, as for the bottom six there, Martinook, a very solid player. Stahl, very solid depth center. Niederreiter is Niederreiter. It's been controversial wanting him to get out of Carolina. Levo, if he can be healthy, as I said, he can be very solid. Same goes for Stepan. And then Jesper Foss as well, a very solid, probably fourth line right wing at the highest. As for the defense here, you have starting off on the first pairing, Jacob Slavin, Brett Pesce, Brady Shea, Ethan Bear, Ian Cole, Tony DeAngelo, and then you have Brendan Smith as a fill-in guy there. Smith can really play left wing. I saw that on the chart. I'm like, what? I think that's a very solid defense. Losing Hamilton's obviously going to hurt, but acquiring a guy like Ethan Bear is a good move. So Slavin and Pesce is your first pairing. Two underrated defensemen there who could make a big impact with this team this coming season. Brady Shea as well there, along with Ethan Bear, the new player making his debut on the team. So Bear will be interesting. We'll see how he develops with this stacked Canes defense. And then Shea, of course, will play the same. Ian Cole as well. He'll be getting his chance on that lefty pairing on the third. Then you'll have Tony DeAngelo. He's going to get another shot. And I think if he has bad locker room issues or he's bad, that's it for him. He's done. So we'll see how that goes. But for right now, I like that blue line. The third pairing is kind of a risk to me. But I think apart from that, it's solid. Of course, they also got their goaltending. Frederik Andersen, Antti Ranta, and Alex Lyon. So that's an interesting three goalies there. So obviously it's way different than Reimer, Mrazek, Nadelkovic. So I think that's very interesting. We'll see how that goes. I kind of don't mind the goaltending. The defense I'm a bit shaky on the third pairing, but apart from that, I like it. I like the entire forward core. So honestly, even though they lost all those guys, I kind of approve. And now on to your final question facing this Hurricanes team. Do they make the playoffs? Yes, I can't imagine they don't. And they're honestly a contender to win the division. So, you can argue what you will. You could say, oh, no, the division is too stacked. They'll fall out. I don't imagine that. Unless if everything goes wrong, unless with what I said earlier, if Levo gets injured, if Stepan gets injured, if all their goalies get injured, then you can say, yeah, they'll probably miss the playoffs. But right now, looking at this core, I can't imagine they don't. And I mean, it doesn't really matter anymore. What matters is making a deep playoff run. So that'll be it for this video. Thank you for watching. For Ice Presley, I really, really do appreciate it. Tomorrow will be the Calgary Flames. That'll be a fun video to make, obviously, because the Flames are a very interesting team in my book. But yeah, thank you for watching. For Ice Presley, and I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.